market who has not tried tea. सबने पिया? Now just imagine, out of this inventory, almost 99% people have had tried tea. Yani the demand for this product is the maximum. Now this is considered the world's second largest consumed beverage in the world. Second largest consumed beverage in the world. Which one is the first one? Coffee. Common sense. The first one is water. Coffee is third. Now, the tea, yes, we can understand the tea, the prices are not very great, but the margin it brings, a product which is cheaper, economic, clear? The cost is always in proportion with the price it is sold for. Even if it is sold for 10 rupees, trust me, they keep their margin at least 2.5 times or 3 times, which means their cost will be not more than 4 rupees per cup. 78 ml cup that they sell for, 10 रुपए का cup जो cup वो sell करते हैं, that is 70 ml cup. For the 70 ml cup they sell for, the cost will not be more than 4 rupees. 4 rupees I'm putting it on the higher end. So if they sell it for 10 rupees, they are making 2.5 times profit. 1.5 times profit, isn't it? Yes, no?
Yes, sir.
Now that is not bad. This is just one cup. Now imagine throughout the day how many cups of tea they would be able to sell. That's it, 1,000. 1,000 cups, not difficult to sell, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
The tea is part of our staple dietary system. It is part of our life. On an average, an Indian is believed to be consuming more than 3-4 cups a day. 3-4 cups a day, which means around 480 ml per day. And especially on the days off, when you are on weekends, when you are at home, so we consume more tea. Yes, no?
Yes, sir.
मम्मी के साथ एक बार पी लिया, फिर पापा के साथ likewise, भैया आ गए, and then you got guests in the evening. So every time there is something, we will look for opportunity to have tea. Yes, no?
Yes.
हम मौसम गर्म है, चल खाए चाय ना, मौसम अच्छा है, let's have tea, है ना? Now the tea itself is one of the largest revenue aggregator as far as the commodities are concerned. This is one such commodity which makes greater revenue. That really, if can utilize well, can make or break the revenue chain of your or your revenue system. I'll give an example of two small tea stalls which I have researched for quite a long time. I'm not sure how many of you been to Kesopur area? Anyone who stays nearby? Piyush, इधर ही रहता ना? निखिल कहाँ रहते? नहीं तो लगता पाकिस्तान रहता है पूरी बात। मैं केस्टोपुर की बात कर। अच्छा, so when you go towards Goa Guwahati, I'm sure you would be using this gateway. So Allen factory जो है, उसके सामने एक चौरसिया टी स्टॉल है। कभी नोटिस किया वहाँ पे एक चाय की दुकान है, हमेशा भीड़ होती है। कभी देखा किसी ने? पीयूष, कभी देखा? You must have noticed. चौरसिया, Allen lab के सामने. Now this is one tea stall. You know what? This might give you a business idea, guys. And it's for second years because you will be passing out 1 year early than that. Alright. Now this shop that I'm talking about is a very small area. They possibly operate in a 10 by 9 or 10 by 8, not more than that. A small area that they operate with. At any point of time that you visit their shop, you will never find the shop being empty. Now every time you go there, you will find 10-15 people always there waiting for their turn to have a cup of tea. Now just imagine, and I have seen that with my own eyes, multiple occasions, they have got this size blue drums, the chemical drums, which is almost up to 10,000 liters full. Blue drums over there. They are filled with that earthen cups, cooler what we call it, and obviously it might have a mix of paper cups and earthen cups. They ask people for their choice whether they wanted paper cups or paper cups are easy to handle and they are less heat resistant. So it might have a mix of paper cup and earthen cup. The paper cup comparatively takes lesser space to gather with, and with the force, it can be compressed and reduced to a smaller area, isn't it? But this size drums, 2 drums on an average every year, how many cups do you think would it carry? 1,500 each drum? 3? I'm being very liberal. मैं एक अलग ही liberal category बीच में, ठीक है? Let's say 3,000 pullers, 3,000 pullers. And yes, I do understand they have an advantage because they have got a factory across their manufacturing unit for other labs. So the people who work there, they are frequent visitors to the stall, and plus the office staff who've been residing in the nearby area. 3,000 cups, 10 rupees on an average. और मैं यहाँ पे 10 रुपये, बड़े cups भी होते हैं which is 20 rupees, smaller 10 rupees. But I say, let's say सारे छोटे cup है 10 रुपये का. 3,000 cup into 10 rupees. कितना हो गया? Let's say 40% is the cost. 12,000. 12,000 रुपये is the cost. कितना कमाया? 40,000. कितना कॉस्ट है? 12,000. लेट्स से मैन पावर अगर हम मिला के ऑन एन एवरेज डेली बेसिस पे मैं ऐसे 15,000 कर देता हूँ. स्टिल कितनी की मार्जिन हुई उनकी? 25,000. मैन पावर कॉस्ट, फ्यूल कॉस्ट मिला के मैंने 3,000 एक्स्ट्रा निकाल लिया. महीने के 90,000 हो गए. So that will take care of your the rent. That will take care of the 2 laborers who are working there. That will take care of the electricity that they are using, the LPG that they are using. कितने होंगे? 25,000 रुपये डेली. महीने में कितना होगा? Please don't quit this course. ये सब चाहिए हमको. And this is a small example that I gave you. If you go to city center 1, there is a tea stall vendor. He makes more money than the shop inside. You'll be shocked to know. There is a tea stall right outside the city center 1 unit. Towards left hand side, जहाँ पे हमारा ये बीकाराम का शॉप है, उसके ठीक बगल में कॉर्नर एरिया पे. In morning, if you go, you'll see people coming in Ferrari to have their first cup of tea in the morning. अभी उन्होंने, yes, the quality they have reduced, they have degraded quite a bit because earlier the time when we saw this happening, they used to serve a cup of tea for 20 rupees. Then 20 रुपए का एक कप सेल करते थे. The most economic cup of tea they used to sell it for 20 rupees. It used to come with a strand of saffron. अब saffron नहीं देते, सिर्फ चाय देते हैं 20 रुपए. That's it. That is the smallest cup they sell for 20 rupees. Clear? On the ordinary cup that we get it for 10 rupees, they sell it for 20 rupees. They are possibly charging the location privilege cost. They have added. Just imagine the amount of revenue they would be making. So with this, I hope I've been able to substantiate. This is a great topic. Could be a good future initiative in case we want to stick to opening our own venture. This could be a good topic to learn with. Agree? Convinced? Yes? Or we still have a doubt? Purvo ko doubt hai. I can understand. He needs a cup of tea to wake him up. Achha, moreover, yes, revenue aspect is there, but greatly, we all have some other memory associated with tea. Yes, no, some thought, some opinion. जब तुम चाय बोर्ड सुनते हो, चाय या टी, what comes to your mind? मम्मी के हाथ के पकौड़े, दोस्तों के साथ अड्डा. I remember when I hear tea, I had a boss. If he invites us for tea, तो कभी आके कंधे बात करके बोलता था, चल let's have a cup of tea. Which means there is something, a big obstacle coming on my way, on my department's way, on my way. If he calls everyone for a tea in a common room, which means there is a common problem involving everyone. He inviting anyone for tea means there is a problem to be discussed. So that is my memory of tea. Yes, दोस्तों के साथ अड्डा, late night बैठ के छत पे चाय पी रहे. क्या आता है तुम्हारे दिमाग में when you hear the tea? बदमाशियाँ, सिगरेट, दोस्त को चुंगला लगाना, see, I'm sure you कोई ऐसा है जिसके कोई thought नहीं है चाय के साथ या कोई memories नहीं है और कुछ ना कुछ है everybody yes है नहीं some experience with tea जो अगर मैं you hear tea वो चीज आती है आपके दिमाग में मतलब I can still see some of the students with dead faces yes no yes sir you are some of different planet titans are dropped there right so yes this is a very common topic as far as our lives are concerned. This is very important topic as far as our industry is concerned. This is very important topic as far as the revenue aspect is concerned. Okay, so that makes it very critical for us to understand the tea. What we have done, we have curated a small presentation for you that this will give you a detailed insight about what the tea is, how it is processed, and why they are unique. ये अलग क्यों? Now, if you see the table, there are different varieties of tea. See, please, in case you are expecting me to bring yellow tea and white tea, this is not the season for. Or yellow tea and white teas are generally consumed fresh, and we have to place an advance order. These tea has a very limited demand. Possibly you have to go to some tea harvesting areas to taste these teas. They are only available on demand, so we are not able to bring these two varieties. But yes, largely we have black tea, we have oolong, and we have a variety of dark tea as well today. When we were students and we were studying, we were only taught this, and this. These were brought in later. They came quite later, right? See, we are part of such a versatile industry. See, how many students you see here? Almost 100 students. 100 students means 100 brains. 100 brains with thousands idea per student. You never know when, which idea of which student clicks where. And this is how the innovation happens. The innovation is in the industry has been thriving the invention of new varieties of tea. I'm sure by the time you reach my area, you'll see this number has gone to many more, right? But if you look at the table in front, the different brew teas that you see, we have used glasses here because it gives you a greater visibility. You are able to judge the color of the tea unless you look at the tea, you will not be able to understand how are they different. It's not just the color of the tea different, it is also their flavor profile which is different from each other. Yes. And all these tea varieties will surprise you if I say they are made from same plant, excluding the Assam and Darjeeling. If you leave these two varieties apart, all the other teas that you see in front, they are made from the same plant. How is it possible that a same plant is able to give you different color, different flavor profile teas? Is it possible? Is it possible? How is it possible? You see, alright, I do understand fermentation. Fermentation is when we allow the yeast to react with sugar. Is there any yeast involved here?
No, sir.
Can we really call it fermentation?
No, sir.
The book says fermentation. You want to learn this? Let's do it. Did you realize there was a music at the background? Was it okay?
Yes, sir.
Should I switch it off? Let's switch it off. So, welcome everyone. My name is Harshit Rai, and I will be taking you through the tale of tea, a very famous commodity which is a very important part of our life. Very irresistible. We cannot say that we can survive without tea. We might afford giving a miss to our breakfast, lunch or dinner, but missing a tea might give you a severe headache. Yes? Yes, no?
Yes, sir.
Ask somebody who is addicted to tea. If they give a mist to tea, the headache comes knocking their head. Alright, let's begin. Well, if you ask me what is tea, tea is a beverage which is made by pouring hot water. Pouring Where are we pouring hot water? Pouring hot water over the product, yes, the processed leaves of Camellia sinensis. Processed leaves of See, Camellia sinensis is not just the only variety of tea leaves which are used for making tea. There is another one. Camellia assamica is another one. But larger produce that you see of the tea, they are from the Camellia sinensis. Which family it comes from? Camellia sinensis. So they are the processed leaves obtained from. There is a boy who is hiding behind what's your name? Agaj. Please give him a place. Come in. Switch, guys. Push up. Are you interested? Yes. Sure? There is nothing troubling you in your stomach? Take it. No kicking, no hitting, no playing around. Good. Yes. So tea is a beverage which is made by pouring hot water over the processed leaves. Processed leaves. Why are you calling processed leaves? Why not fresh leaves?
Because we process it, heat it.
Why can't we use fresh leaves if it is so important, if it is so medicinal? Why can't we chew the leaves of tea plant? It will more benefit. It's more hygienic, isn't it? Fresh, wash it, clean. No, it's not like that. But cat, we'll come back to this. The tea is, so what we have done so far, it's a beverage. It's a beverage. It's a beverage.
Yes.
Why it's a beverage? Says who? Why beverage? What? There has to be some reason. No? You call something a beverage. There has to be some reason. Why beverage? So anything refreshing. Let's say if I pick up a glass of, Sumanto sir, you have to do a lot of editing before you post anywhere. Okay? So let's say I give you a glass of muddy water. A lot of ice in it. Refreshing now, can we call it a beverage? Refreshing you said, and again refreshing is a beverage. So I made it refreshing to you. Because refreshing is not the only criteria for anything to be called as beverage. To be called as a beverage, it is important that it is portable. Fast. Portable. What is? Portable name. Portable. Portable matlab? You eat and your body happily absorbs it. Clear? Like for a food, it is supposed to be edible. Similarly, a beverage has to be portable first. So tea is portable. Tea is good, not refreshing, but if you serve it with a lot of ice, it will become refreshing. Understood? Clear? Why I said tea is made by pouring hot water over the processed leaves of Camellia sinensis, right? You know what, you'll be surprised to know. The tea, it is believed that the tea was invented somewhere in the southwestern part of China. Either Sichuan or Yunnan. There are mystical stories, several noble notions as far as the Chinese histories are concerned. But it is one thing for sure, it came from China to India. And the credit goes to the Buddhist monk who brought this art of cultivating the tea leaves to India via the Silk Route with the northeastern regions. They brought it. Bhutan and other area, they brought it to India. But it was invented for sure either in Yunnan or Sichuan. Where? Yunnan or Sichuan. There was, as far as the history goes, there was a dynasty called, China has been ruled by several dynasties. But the couple of dynasties which has been very prominent when it comes to promotion of teas are Shang Dynasty, the time when the tea was invented. Shang Dynasty, when the tea was invented. Now this was the time when there was now again there are different noble notions which says there was a shepherd called Shannon. Kananda? Shepherd. Shepherd, the one who takes care of the hold of the ships. Right? Or other stories, Shannon is referred as an alchemist. Somebody who practices inventing medicines and medicinal cure by experimenting on plants, understanding their medicinal value and then utilizing it for various cure for diseases. Right? So it is said that this gentleman Shannon was in managing his herd somewhere in the jungle, and he accidentally chewed on some leaves. And he realized that the leaves were having some kind of negative impact on his system. He had some inflammations, inflammatory reactions, some kind of shivering activities that he felt within himself. Then he realized that if he chews on the leaves which are higher on astringency, it might help in cutting down this effect. Something which is high on tannin, something which is high on astringency. And he realized that the plant next to him, it looked fresh, so he accidentally chewed on it. I'll give you both the stories of Shannon. The first one is this. When he chewed on the leaves, he realized the medicinal benefit of the tea had helped in calming his body down. Right? So this is the first story. Second story says, Shannon was boiling water with the side of river, and accidentally some of the leaves, the tea plants, the Camellia sinensis plants, if they are left wild, if they are left uncultured, if they are left without being looked after, managed, pruned, trained, then it might grow up to 16 to 20 feet. 16 to 20 feet. Just imagine the height it can grow to. Kafi ucha hai na? So some of the leaves had accidentally fallen into the water that he was boiling and possibly he was feeling lethargic, does not want to go back to the river to bring fresh water and re-boil it. उसने उसी को पी लिया. But when he consumed, he realized, he is feeling less tired, and the sleepiness has gone, appetite has increased, he is feeling more refreshed, as if he came in the just now in the field. This is how accidentally Shannon was credited to invent the tea leaves. He took some of the leaves, took it with himself into the village, made people taste, and they also they got convinced with the idea of the Shannon that the leaves had some kind of magical value. And this is how accidentally the tea leaves was invented. Clear? Gradually it became a common commodity within the Shang dynasty. But when it comes to tea reaching out to different part of the world, it was because of the following dynasty of Tang, which followed after the Shang dynasty. Now the Tang dynasty was very keen in spreading their trade all across the South Asian countries. So he allowed the traders to take the commodities which are unique, which are different, which can create a trade opportunity for them outside China. This is how the tea leaves came out from the China first to Bhutan and other nearby countries, Japan, Korea and Mongolia, different parts. But when it comes to tea coming to India, as I said, the credit is given to Buddhist monk, because Buddhist monk, they always remain gypsy, they remain mobile. So they used to travel through different monasteries, practice Buddhism there, spend some time, pick up good things from there, then move to another destination. And while they were moving around, they were spreading the goodness of Buddhism. So this is how the Buddhist monk were able to spread this tea commodity from Southeast Asia to from southwestern part of China to southeastern part of Asia, including India. Now when it came to India, and larger section of the monasteries were located in the regions of Assam and Arunachal Pradesh and Darjeeling, so they brought this, the leaves of the tea with themselves. They planted it near around areas, and this is how the tea entered India first. This development was somewhere in between 16th to 17th century. I forgot to mention one thing. There are the first story that I was talking about Shenong, where he had accidentally chewed the leaves, it said, and this has been mentioned in the many history books in China, the tea leaves were eaten for quite some time as a fresh vegetable or fresh commodity. They used to mix it with different dressings, and they used to eat it as a salad by filling in a bread. Clear? So it is only, and I'm talking about, this is somewhere around 2735 BC, यानी before Jesus Christ was born, 2700, second century की बात, second century की बात, काफी पुरानी बात, right? It is believed that the tea as a beverage was accepted only after 3000 BC. Okay. So after the Christ was born, 1500 BC, 15 AD. After that, it was people started consuming tea as a beverage instead of consuming it as a. This has been there noted in several history books in China. Clear? I will show you a small video presentation that talks about the history of tea leaves. Lines what we discussed. Please let me know whether the audio quality is okay to you.
Drink like tea has a rich history dating back to ancient times. Indeed, today, tea takes the second place in the world after water, and it is difficult to find such a corner on earth where this drink would grow. Little wonder
Is the audio okay to you guys?
that a popular drink like tea has a rich history dating back to ancient times. Indeed, today, tea takes the second place in the world after water, and it is difficult to find such a corner on earth where this drink. No wonder that a popular drink like tea.
Yes, sir.
सबको सुनाई दे रहा है?
Yes,
You
sir.
are able to understand?
Yes,
With a laptop, say I can just increase or decrease the volume. I can't control that treble.
It has a rich history dating back to ancient times. Indeed, today, tea takes the second place in the world after water, and it is difficult to find such a corner on earth where this drink would not be allowed. Yes, in different regions, people may prefer different varieties of tea, use all kinds of recipes for tea brewing that are fundamentally different from each other. But one way or another, almost everyone drinks tea. However, it was not always the case. There were times when people did not even know about this tiny drink. Since the discovery of tea to present day, it has came a long and sometimes difficult path. And today, I will try to tell you the whole history of tea, from ancient times to modern era. The birthplace of tea is rightfully considered to be southwestern China and the geographically adjacent regions, Burma and North Vietnam. Wild varieties of tea
This spread
grew
over
and
was
grew
the
up.
time of
According to
China
Chinese
dynasty.
mythology, the discovery of tea is assigned to Chinese emperor and the father of Chinese medicine, Shen Nong, who lived in China around 2700 BC. He had extensive knowledge in the field of medicine and herbal drugs. There is an opinion that the history of tea began at the moment when Shen Nong, tired from work, decided to boil water on a fire and did not notice how the leaves from the tree fell into it. After drinking the brewed drink, he felt cheerful and full of energy. Warmth spread throughout his body. Then he realized that he had found a new remedy and decided to better study its properties. After this discovery, the Chinese began to actively study tea plants and grow them. A little later, in China, the word tea got its own hieroglyph, which is made in the form of a tree with flowers, leaves, and a person within them. It symbolizes the harmony of man with nature. But this character was pronounced differently in different regions of China, hence the difference in the name of the drink nowadays. In Russia and other countries in the north, the name of the drink chai came from the northern Chinese cha, and it came through a group of Turkic languages. But in Europe, tea appeared from the southern Chinese pronunciation, tea. This explains the difference in pronunciation of the name of the drink. The earliest manuscripts with references to tea survive dated 1115 BC, in which the Chinese prince Zhou Gong had described tea. He noted that after drinking this bitter-tasting drink, the person begins to think better, moves to sleep less, and the body becomes lighter. During the era of Zhou dynasty, the Chinese drank wine, beverages, and brews, among which was tea. Back in the days, people used tea as a medicine. A little later, in the Han era, tea becomes a common item in the Chinese market, especially in modern Sichuan. It becomes popular among all social groups. During the Tang Dynasty, the tea industry developed rapidly with new technologies for growing and processing tea leaves. Tea has become an integral element of Chinese culture. It was sung in songs and poems, depicted in paintings and drawings, and around this period, tea started to be recognized outside of China. The Buddhist monk Dengu Daishi brought knowledge of tea to Japan. At the beginning of the 9th century, he studied in China, and when he returned to Japan, he took tea tree seeds with him. So tea spread in a monastic environment. The monks used it during long meditations in order to cheer up and refresh. But in the 13th century, tea gained popularity outside the monasteries as well. The Japanese began their own research and developed a national tea ceremony, unlike the Chinese tea drinking. In China, the focus is on enjoying the taste and aroma of the drink, and in Japan, on the ritual of the ceremony itself. Black tea was the first to come from China to India, which the Indians studied and tried to grow, but the Indians lacked the knowledge of how to efficiently collect, store, and transport tea leaves, until a Dutch company joined the tea business in Europe in 1728 and decided to grow tea on Indian land. The company hired many Chinese artisans to grow tea according to the Chinese model, which made it possible to obtain tea of the original Chinese quality. Then, in 1833, the British East Indian Company came to India to grow tea. At first, they grew Chinese tea plants, but then they realized that it was more convenient and profitable to cultivate Assam tea, which was better adapted to Indian soil. As early as 1839, Assamese tea was being sold in London. Over time, the British mechanized the process of growing and processing tea, equipping Indian plantations with their technological equipment. This allowed the British to obtain a quality product in large quantities. So India became the land for growing tea for all the countries of Europe. In general, the Portuguese, Dutch, and English began to carry tea from China to Europe at the beginning of the 17th century. Initially, the tea became known as a medicinal drink, but eventually, after decades, it started to be consumed for pleasure. The Chinese in those days considered Europeans to be barbarians and were happy to sell them black teas, which they themselves considered low-grade garbage, and kept the best high-mountain green teas for themselves. Therefore, in Europe, they drank mostly black tea. Moreover, it was cheaper and much more difficult to fake. The French learned about tea from the Dutch in 1636. One of the first tea drinkers was King Louis XV. He learned that the Chinese and Japanese, thanks to tea, did not suffer from gout and ordered to treat him this way too. In England, tea was imported by the English East India Company. In 1662, the English king, Charles II, married the Portuguese.
The story came here. The tea went to England because during that era it was very prominent to have the royal families marrying their kids into the royal families of the kingdoms. When the Portuguese princess Catherine of Braganza, Braganza is the reason for where she came from. The Catherine, she got married to King Louis II, right? Who was also known as Charles II. She took a small box of tea leaves with her son from Portugal to India. And gradually it became from the would-be queen to the king and into the royal nobilities. It became very popular and prominent. Okay? Gradually they saw the king saw the queen having something. He said, yo, what is this? Let me also try. She said, this is something that we got from Portuguese. Portuguese took the harvested tea leaves. Portuguese were the first one to invade India. In fact, second one, so when they came in, sorry, they were first one. So when they, out of the different commodities that they exported out of India was tea amongst one of them. Okay? So she said, okay, this is the product that my family has brought from India. And he said, oh, we also have a kingdom there. Let me try what is this that we have not known for. Oh, wash your face. Right? So from the queen, it became the habit of the king, would-be king. From would-be king, it became the habit of the people around them. Very soon, everybody in the royal palace was a consumer for the tea. Look, and you know what? Many of the habits that we learn by looking at people. You know, this is how we learn how to smoke. Yes, smoke. ऐसे ही नहीं सीखते हैं? ठीक, बाकी चीजें भी बात करते हैं. But yes, we, with some habits, it gets into the companions who live around us very soon. This is how the tea became very popular within the royal families and in nearby circles. The king realized that this truly has some kind of benefit. क्योंकि पीने के बाद एक जो refreshing neurotoxin जो होता है, it triggers a kind of a neuropsychotic impact. एक जो हमारा stress impact होता है हमारा nervous system का, उसको ease out करने में help करता है, जिसकी वजह से we feel refreshed, we feel less tired, we feel less sleepy. अभी लग रहा है ना चाहिए जरूरत है सबको. If you are given a cup of tea, you feel more refreshed. So this benefit made the king think that this has truly some medicinal benefit. Why not we bring it from India? And then they started importing tea leaves. This is how the plantation of tea leaves in a larger area, northeastern region, started by the Britishers. Clear? And this story would also talk about this.
Princess Catherine, who was a raptured tea lover, and introduced tea drinking and set it up as a custom into the court, which of course had a positive effect on income of tea merchants and was also considered as a victory over alcohol, which the lords and ladies drank morning, afternoon, and evening. In mainland Europe and Scandinavia, tea could not take a leading position. These countries remained predominantly coffee. But in England, tea became a national drink. The import of tea increased every year. And in 1690, no more than 10 tons were imported, and in 1790, it was already more than 4,000 tons of tea. Due to the growing demand and complications in trade with China, the British began to develop tea productions in the Indian, Andaman, and Ceylon colonies. Such famous varieties of tea as Assam and Darjeeling originate specifically from India. Attempts were also made to grow tea in Africa, some of which was successful and led to the emergence of Africa, primarily Kenyan tea. By 1887, the amount of tea from colonies exceeded purchases from China. The issue of the pace of tea transportation became urgent, and they began to transport it by the sea on the so-called tea clippers, the most advanced and fastest ships of their time, and on which races were often arranged with an endangered prize at the end of the competition. There was no case at such tea races when 3 clippers traveled more than 25,000 kilometers and at the same time entered the harbor side by side. After the opening of the Suez Canal in 1869, the delivery time was sharply reduced. Consequently, its cost fell. Tea became cheaper, sales volumes doubled in 15 years. Tea came to America in 1690. Initially, it was sold in Boston. At that time, Britain wanted to monopolize the tea market in America and issued the tea
How many of you heard of Boston Tea Party? What is that?
So basically, when
People in Boston, they invite somebody at their home for tea gathering.
basically when the tax system happens, so when the tax system happens, so the most people they kind of became furious and then they all dumped those tea plates and they started their own
This happened in, yes. Now, Boston is believed to be one of the house for one of the largest brewers. During the American Revolution, they realized the tea from India, it went to England, and from England to rest of the Europe, including America. So what happened, this and the tea was because of, they could not grow tea themselves. They had to take the tea from India all the way to England. It added on to the cost. So tea as a commodity was priced very higher because of the taxation, because of the logistical obligations, because of the transport cost, right? And since the ships, the galleons in which the tea was imported, they were smaller in size, so they were able to carry only a smaller portion. So this all together added on to the overall cost of the tea. So tea, by the time it reached England, it was very high in terms of the cost. So which means it was out of the reach of common people, and because of the taxes. Now this invited the many people to black market these by say hiding the taxes. Clear? And not just black marketing the tea leaves, they also brought in a cheaper variant of tea by adulterating it with animal dung, by adulterating it with wooden shaw, right? The shaw dust जो होता है उसके साथ adulterate करके. The government realized that this is all happening because of the heavy taxation on the tea leaves. So they said, okay, let's waive off the tea leaves, taxes on the tea leaves. If we remove the taxes, these black marketeers will have nothing to say. They will get, they will have the same price to sell for as we do. This will minimize the chances of they fooling the people. Now this created a maximum commotion within this particular community. And during the American Revolution, a large number of crowd, they went out to the Boston harbor where these ships were parked. They went on board, picked up these cranes of tea leaves and they threw it in the Boston River, right? Which is in historic section is referred as Boston Tea Party, a tea revolution involving the Boston Harbor.
The Act, which allowed only the British East India Company to sell tea in the 13 American colonies at an understated price, while the goods of other companies were heavily imposed a tax. This was supposed to improve the financial condition of the East India Company. For Americans, the Tea Act became a symbol of British tyranny. On December 16, 1773, Americans couldn't stand it any longer, and as a protest, they boarded the ship of the British East Indian Company and poured all the tea overboard. In response to the protests, Britain passed a law banning the sale of tea in Boston until the value of all discarded tea was fully compensated. This was one of the reasons of the American Revolutionary War in 1775. A little later, in 1784, the Americans built the first ship that successfully sailed to China and returned laden with tea. Since then, China and the US successfully carried on business in different industries. As you understood, wherever tea got, it became demanded and popular. Starting its history in ancient China, tea has become widespread in all corners of the modern world. Wherever you come, almost everywhere you can have a cup of tea, offered by the locals as a sign of hospitality and respect. Studying tea in 2700 BC, Shen Nong most likely had no idea that his discovery would subsequently have such a strong impact on the culture of many people and influence the course of history so much.
I said, the tea comes from a plant called Camellia sinensis or Camellia alsam. The larger total produce ka almost 95-96% is of Camellia sinensis. Now if you look, and I said all the varieties in front of you which look different from each other, they are made from the same plant except the Assam and Darjeeling, because they are from the same plant. Both are from the Assam Camellia sinensis, but they are grown at different altitude, they are grown in different climatic conditions. Assam comparatively has a more humid, warmer climatic condition. Tea leaves are always required to grow in a humid condition. Semi-tropical area, they require warmer to semi-tropical area, right? And a soil which is high in acidity. Clear? That is the reason why the tea leaves are grown more into the Assam and northeastern part of India and some part of Himachal and southern part, Nilgiri vagara, southern part.
The soil will be marshy.
It is high in acidity, right? Because the tea leaves are, why the tea leaves are greater in astringency? Because they are grown on a soil which requires higher percentage of acidity. Clear? इसी वजह से if we try growing our tea leaves here in Kolkata, it will not sustain. It might grow, but it might turn into a harvestable plant. Clear? Now, if you look at the leaves, this image of the leaves, it is called flush. क्या बोलते हैं इसको? क्या बोलते हैं? Flush. FLUSH. Same as the one we have in blue, right? But the spelling is also same. The pronunciation is also same. So when it is asked what is flush in tea production, you should know it is the combination of top few leaves along with the buds of the Camellia sinensis plant. Now, if you look at this, these 3-4 leaves structure, wherein you got a leaf which is comparatively older, then less older leaves. Likewise, the most tender leaf will produce a much lighter variety of tea. They will be referred as flowery orange pekoe. Now, this again, you will go to a producer. Be it Glenburn or Merichai, the one who produces these tea variety, if you tell them that they do not use this full word, the full name, they will say FOP. You go and ask them, I need 1 kg of FOP varieties. They will provide you. If you go to a local shop asking for FOP, you may not get. So these tea leaves are again made on demand. They have a limited demand. Prices are higher because first, just imagine, you can use only one leaf from the entire bud to make that tea variety. So such an extensive production quantity that we need to yield a smaller variant of FOP, flowery orange pekoe. Right? So if the top leaves are used, it produces a tea variety which is termed as flowery orange pekoe. Clear? And if we use the second leaf from the bud, it will produce orange pekoe. Their name is flowery orange pekoe or orange pekoe. Why orange pekoe? Not because they give you orange flavor. Clear? There is no orange flavor, there is no combination with orange, with this flowery orange pekoe or orange pekoe. It is as delicate, as aromatic as oranges. That is why they are referred as symbolically. Clear? So if you think that they might have an orange, some kind of relation with oranges, so that will absolutely be incorrect. These two varieties, pure Souchang and Souchang, these are Chinese tea varieties. They are not made in India, but yes, they are the ones which are used for making your black tea varieties. Clear? Okay. Now, yes, as we said, that the same plant can produce different varieties of tea. It totally depends on the way it is processed. The way it is processed. The leaf that we use, the plant where it was harvested, the climatic condition and the place where it was harvested from, the part of the leaf that we use and how we process it will determine the final product quality. Clear?
Yes, sir.
I will show you a next video presentation which talks about the production of tea leaves, then we'll discuss it here. I have a detailed video presentation, but that will be too much for details.
The journey and the process behind a cup of tea is a long one, and it begins much before you begin to steep your favorite cuppa. Growing tea and processing it is an art demanding much care and detail. Tea bushes are planted during monsoons. Regular application of folium, which is a mixture of chemicals such as zinc and magnesium, provide for the health of these bushes. Tea leaves, or the produce, are plucked almost throughout the year. Produce is particularly high post-monsoons due to...
I forgot to mention one factor that do you notice that the most of the tea harvesting places are located on slopes? Why? Why can't we grow tea on a flat lands or on a flat bed? You know, you'll be surprised to know out of different plants, tea requires almost 15 inches of water supply for irrigation. 15 inches. This is quite much. मतलब many areas in India, उतना तो monsoon में बारिश नहीं होती. 50 inches. मतलब कितना लगभग 4 फीट के करीब बारिश. But the same, which means they need plenty of water for them to grow. Plenty of water for irrigation is needed. But same water cannot stay with the ground. Otherwise, it will start rotting the roots of the tea plant. That is why the tea, most of these harvesting places are located on slopes, so that the water easily, the required amount of water is absorbed by the soil because of the gravel soil. ऊपर में जो gravel soil का bed होता है, वो पानी को reservoir की तरह रख लेता है, and remaining water it lets it down. Clear?
expert in growth. Hand plucking is a traditional method.
Did you ever notice most of the time the plucking is done by women? Why women? Why not men?
Men have very hard and manly hands.
Yes. Yes, it is because their skin. They have very tender, soft skin. It does not presses the, when they pluck it, the firm hands might let the tea flushes lose out maximum amount of their essential oil. To prevent it happening, it is preferred the women do the plucking part. Now, here you are seeing the women plucking it with their hands and putting it in their dummy mules. The piggy bag पीछे में डाल रखा है. ये लकड़ी के भी बने हो सकते हैं, खेन के बने हो सकते हैं, कपड़े के बने हो सकते हैं. The wooden one are called as dummy mules. उसमें डाल के once it is full, they dump it in a carrier, or carrier takes the leaves to factory. Or they might use a specially designed scissor. So one side it has a blade, other side it has a half cut box. So blade, when it hits the tea bushes, the leaves are cut and it falls into the container, half open container.
Involving hundreds of women plucking tea leaves with their hands. Each of these women will contribute up to 21 kilograms of plucked tea leaves at the end of their working day. Hand plucking is today being supplemented by hand sharing. This method has been introduced to counter the effects of large-scale migration by labourer communities to the big cities.
This was around 650 solid blades. There was self-sharpening blade, carbon-tip blade. So it would give much faster cutting. So right. Yeah.
The plucked tea leaves are transported to the nearest factory. This particular factory I am visiting belongs to the Barbanur Plantations and Industries Limited. This building is around 135 years old, but is replete with modern machinery. I take a stroll and get a closer look at how tea is processed here.
The first step that you see
The general manager at
this is called
Barbanur is a friendly gentleman showing me around. He explains how the processing begins with withering.
Withering is a process where you remove only the surface moisture. The moisture, say about 80%, will be removed to 65%. Then only 15% is removed.
Okay.
But that takes almost about 16 hours. So when it's rolling, when it's pressed in the form, okay?
There is no moisture that
No moisture, so it releases slowly.
You know what? After the leaves are plucked, it is brought to the factory where it is going to be processed. Now, I will, towards the end of the session, I will let you people go in and see, have a look onto the leaves that we have used today. You'll see there are two varieties of leaves largely being used today. One, they look in roundish ball, alright, and other one, they looks like a small streaks or छोटे-छोटे rolled stems जैसे. Clear? Now these two leaves, the processed tea varieties, they are referred as CTC when they are in shape of rounded balls, and when they are like a small stems, rolled stems kind of, rolled leaves kind of, they are called as orthodox tea leaves. Okay? Okay. The withering is the first process. After the tea leaves are plucked, it is taken to the factory, then it is dried. Withering का नाम सुन के घबराना नहीं है. Withering का simple मतलब होता है drying. आना सीधा back. Withering का मतलब drying. But why do we need to dry? Leaves का अंदर क्या है? Moisture, essential oil. Technically, अगर आप, is there anybody from science here? We need different enzymes to react with and make it more appetizing for us. Alright? Now this cannot happen as long as the leaves have higher proportion of moisture. जितना ज़्यादा moisture होगा उतना water content ज़्यादा होगा, chemical and flavor जो profile होगा वो कम होगा. Clear? And if you look at the leaves, they have small cells, छोटे-छोटे blocks. The enzymes are in the leaves, the proteins are in the leaves, the sugar are in the leaves, the carbs are in the leaves, but they are kept separately in different cells now. Clear? Until the time they have moisture, it will not allow the leaves. ये जो cell walls होते हैं, the one which keeps the enzymes and the sugar and the flavor molecules separately, they are so strongly bonded up together because of the moisture. Here comes the role of withering process. What it does, it reduces the moisture to up to 65%. Moisture कम होने से क्या होता है, जो cell walls होते हैं weak हो जाते हैं. जो cell walls हो जाते हैं, they become weak. Now ये weak होने के पीछे एक और वजह है. Clear? इसको बोलते हैं stress response बोलते हैं. अच्छा, जब during summer you go out, ठीक है, थोड़ी देर काम करके जब अंदर आते हो, आपको प्यास लगती है, क्या करते हो, तुरंत पानी के पास जाते हो, पानी उठाते हो, पीते हो, ये करते हो ना? That was your stress response या heat response. Clear? Tea leaves ऐसा नहीं कर सकते. Tea leaves ऐसा नहीं कर सकते. Clear? So what happens? टी के अंदर में जब ये उसके अंदर withering हो रहा होता है, यानी moisture कम हो रहा होता है, तो उनके अंदर में एक heat response पैदा होता है, heat या stress response पैदा होता है. And they produce trypnoids. क्या produce करते हैं? तो ये trypnoids है जो उन cell walls को weak करते हैं. And they allow the enzymes to come out of their shells and separate the sugar from the flavor molecules. There are different enzymes, protease है, diastase है. They have different roles to play. I'm not going to go in that detail, unnecessary to confuse you. But withering is a process where the enzymes, where we reduce the moisture content up to 65% so that the enzymes in the leaves can react freely with sugar, protein and starch to create a desirable flavor. समझ में आ गया? Clear? Any confusion? This is why very important. Now you do withering and then you dry it. You do withering, then you dry the leaves. You'll get a variety. जैसे हम लोग white tea क्या बोलते हैं? White tea. This is how the white tea is made. They simply after the withering, tea leaves are dried. Dried मतलब moisture को लाया जाता है up to 2%. कितना परसेंट था withering में moisture? 65%. कितना किया जाता है ड्राइंग में? क्यों करते हैं? अगर मॉइस्चर होगा तो टी लीव्स खराब हो जाएगा. टी लीव्स खराब हो जाएगा.
Withering increases caffeine content in the leaves. These leaves are then sifted and shredded.
Now this is another process. This is called bruising. This is called bruising. Yes, इसमें क्या करते हैं? ये leaves को they give a shock to the leaves. जब तुम देखे स्किन पे चोट लग जाती है तो क्या होता है? एक तरह का लिक्विड जैसा, ब्लड से पहले एक लिक्विड जैसा निकलता है. देखा कभी स्किन अगर छिल जाए तो एक लिक्विड जैसा चीज निकलता है, बबल्स फॉर्म में, और वो लिक्विड निकलता रहता है. वो basically what it does, it creates a healing impact. Same happens with the leaves. लीव्स को जब ब्रूज किया जाता है, यानी जब उनके वॉल्स को, ऊपर के जो टेंडर वॉल्स होते हैं, उनको हिट किया जाता है, the juices that and the flavors that we were talking about in the withering, it comes out in open. पहले वो सिर्फ एंजाइम से रिएक्ट कर रहे थे, now they will react with oxygen. There will be enzymatic reaction in presence of oxygen. जिसे हम लोग क्या बोलते हैं? What did we say? आपने क्या बोला था शुरू में? Fermentation. उसका एक्चुअल टर्म है ऑक्सीडाइजेशन. एक्चुअल टर्म है ऑक्सीडाइजेशन. क्लियर? ऑक्सीडाइजेशन तभी हो सकता है जब हम ब्रूजिंग करें. क्लियर? यस सर. सो पहले क्या किया? व्हाट वाज द फर्स्ट थिंग? प्लकिंग के सबसे पहले प्लकिंग के बाद वेथरिंग के बाद if you see ये जो leaves, you are not able to see because of the bad quality of the video, but the leaves after bruising, it goes into a machine. Everyone, it goes into a machine. What it does, it cuts the leaves. Okay, it has got sharp horizontal blades, vertical blades. It tears the leaves, cuts and tears the leaves, and machine rolls it down. Machine उसको roll कर रही है. ये छोटे छोटे दाना बने. तो तीन चीजें एक साथ होती हैं. कटिंग ऑफ द लीव्स, टीयरिंग ऑफ द लीव्स, कर्लिंग ऑफ द लीव्स. क्या क्या होता है? कटिंग, टीयरिंग, कर्लिंग. कटिंग, टीयरिंग, कर्लिंग. इसको बोलते हैं CTC. क्लियर? जिसकी वजह से द टी लीव्स दे टर्न इनटू टाइनी राउंड बॉल्स. ऑलराइट?
Leaves seem fresh and moist. They fill out the air with a heady scent of cut green leaves.
Cold now. See,
The
can you see the
humidity
blades?
level inside the factory is rather high, as
See,
this
it
ends
is turned
the
into
process.
small round balls. छोटे छोटे.
Now we have 5 cuts of 5 bands of CTC cuts with brush, tear and curl. You can just see the roller here. So that's where brushing, tearing and curling takes place. After brushing, tearing and curling, it gets into the fermentation area. The fermentation depends on the temperature and the weather conditions. If the weather conditions are rainy, we need more time for fermentation.
Why? क्या बोला अभी? What did he say? Fermentation is technically what we refer as wherein what happens? What is reacting with what? Enzymes are reacting with protein, sugar, carbs in presence of carbon dioxide. Oxygen. Alright, so that is why it is called oxidization. Now why he said the duration of the duration oxidization takes depends on the climatic condition. Why? I'm sure the kitchen has taught you about danger zone. Right, huh?
Yes.
What is danger zone? Temperature between 5 to 50 degrees centigrade. 5 to 50 degrees centigrade. ये वो temperature frame है wherein the microbes grow freely. Higher the temperature, the growth rate will be much faster. You keep things out of the fridge, जहाँ temperature ज़्यादा है, वो चीजें जल्दी खराब हो जाती हैं. Clear? You keep it in comparatively cooler. रात में चीजें comparatively ज़्यादा टाइम तक खराब होने. क्यों? क्योंकि temperature कम हो गया. ये जैसे जैसे temperature बढ़ेगा up to 50 degree centigrade तक, the enzymatic reaction वैसे ही बढ़ेगा. As the temperature will fall, the enzymatic reaction will also slow down. That is why they said the oxidation rate depends on the climatic conditions.
In summer, we need shorter time for fermentation. Fermentation is nothing but oxidization.
Enzymatic oxidization activates antioxidant polyphenols, which are known to be responsible for the color, flavor, and benefits popularly associated with tea.
Why the fermented already the colors change so much? Infusion, I told you, when you taste a tea, your color of the infusion is very important. You have to have coppery brown. So if it is under fermented, you don't get a good tea. If it is over fermented, you don't get good tea. So we have to balance it. So we do both. So drum fermentation as well as slow fermentation. Drum fermentation half an hour, then slow fermentation 1 hour. Then it fed into the dryer. Now once it goes into the dryer, it's fired at a very high temperature.
Since this process is centered around CTC process, yani cutting, tearing and curling, which means small rounded tea leaves. Yeah. The other process wherein the tea leaves looks like small sticks, something like this. Can you see it? It looks like a small kind of. Now these are the leaves made by rolling the leaves. In ancient time, it was made by using hands. Okay, so they have got small vessel with a rounded edge, where the women were allowed to roll it with the hand, the bottom part of their wrist. They were supposed to roll the leaves. Okay. Now, if you go and ask for orthodox variety, you will see most of these orthodox varieties are made by machine rolling. Now, ये machine rolling जो होता है, it rolls down the leaves into smaller, almost a centimeter and a half sticks. Clear? And why drying? He said after the drum fermentation, the leaves are dried. Stop the enzymatic reaction. क्योंकि एंजाइम तब तक एक्टिव रहेंगे जब तक उनको मॉइस्चर मिलेगा, जब तक उनको फूड मिलेगा. फूड मतलब स्टार्च, मतलब शुगर, मतलब प्रोटीन. तो एंजाइम तो रिएक्ट करते रहेंगे, वो नहीं रुकेंगे. Until unless you remove either one, या तो तुम मॉइस्चर हटा दो, मॉइस्चर हटा दो या फूड हटाओ तो फ्लेवर प्रोफाइल चला जाएगा. तो हम क्या करेंगे, एंजाइम्स को डीएक्टिव कर देंगे बाय रिमूविंग द मॉइस्चर. So when how they dry it, they start the leaves. They put the leaves into a container where the temperature is around 50 degrees centigrade, around 120 degree Fahrenheit. कितना? 120 degree Fahrenheit or 50 degrees centigrade. And they wait and observe outside. They wait for the temperature to rise up to 200 to 220 degrees centigrade. कितने पे शुरू किया था हमने? Dry 50 degree centigrade or 120 degree Fahrenheit, and they will wait for the temperature to rise up to 93 degree centigrade or 200 to 220 degree Fahrenheit. Now this will eliminate the almost your 63% moisture from the leaves. कितना था withering में? 65%. It will drop it down to 2 to 3%. पूरा ये हमने पूरा 100% क्यों नहीं ड्राई किया? कुछ मॉइस्चर क्यों छोड़ा हमने? अगर मॉइस्चर नहीं छोड़ेंगे तो वो and the leaves will start crumbling. 100% ड्राई होने पे पापड़ बोलेगा, क्या समझ में आया?
Temperature of 130 degrees centigrade. Okay. By the time from the dry discharge it comes out, the moisture will be only 2%.
Wow, okay, that's 55% of moisture taken out.
Within 80.
यहाँ पे ये जो टी लीव्स दिख रही है कैसे दिख रहे हैं? छोटे छोटे दाने ना. I forgot to tell you, in China there was a dynasty called Ming dynasty. उन्होंने क्या किया? They make tea cakes. Tea leaves को they did oxidization. See ना they did oxidization. Piyush. Okay, they did the oxidization. Oxidization के बाद they compressed the tea leaves into small cakes. ठीक है? और उसको फिर ड्राई किया वैसे ही, क्योंकि प्रोटीन होता है तो लीव्स इजीली एक दूसरे के साथ बॉन्ड बना लेते हैं और प्रेशर कंप्रेशन के वजह से फ्रीज हो जाते थे, जम जाते थे और ड्राई करने के बाद वही सॉलिड ब्लॉक जैसा.
The output of the dryer is.
So what you see, the leaves are sorted now. तुमने कभी नोटिस किया जब आप बाहर दुकान पे चाय पीने जाते हो वो किस तरह के टी ग्रेन्स यूज करते, कभी नोटिस किया आपने? किस तरह के टी लीव्स यूज करते, ठीक है? व्हाट साइज? मीडियम टू स्मॉल होता है वो हमेशा. क्लियर? जो आप सबसे सस्ते वाले चाय पीते हो ना, ये जो आपके टी बैग्स वाले, दे आर मेड फ्रॉम द डस्ट, दे आर मेड फ्रॉम दी सबसे फाइनेस्ट ग्रेन जो होते हैं उनसे बनते हैं. ऑलराइट? और ये जो चाय की दुकान पे जाते हैं ना चाय के लिए, वो हमेशा मीडियम टू स्मॉल ग्रेन यूज करते हैं. देखना कभी भी वो चाय पत्ती हॉट करेगा. वो चाय पत्ती तुम्हें दुकान पे अगर जाओगे ना, यू बाय टाटा प्रीमियम, यू बाय टाटा गोल्ड, यू बाय ब्रुक बॉन्ड, एनी ऑफ द गुड क्वालिटी टी लीव्स यू बाय, यू फाइंड ऑलवेज फाइंड इट विल हैव लीव्स और इट विल हैव अ लार्जर ग्रेन्स. मीडियम ग्रेन्स नहीं होते. क्यों? क्योंकि मीडियम ग्रेन विल गिव यू डार्कर स्ट्रॉन्गर कलर. फ्लेवर उतना अरोमेटिक नहीं होगा. बड़े ग्रेन्स के अंदर में अरोमेटिक फ्लेवर होगा. क्लियर? दैट इज व्हाई जितने भी बड़े ग्रेन्स होते हैं उनको सॉर्ट किया जाता है. सो ये जो आप देख रहे हो जहाँ पे ये लीव्स गिर रहे हैं, दे हैव सॉर्ट द बेड ऑन विच इट इज फॉलिंग. इट हैज अ डिफरेंट साइज परफोरेशंस. परफोरेशन समझते हो? होल्स डिफरेंट साइज के. ठीक है? सो बड़े ग्रेन्स जो होते हैं वो पहले गिरते हैं. ये पहले स्मॉलर ग्रेन्स पहले गिरते हैं. स्मॉल टू लार्ज होता है. स्मॉलर ग्रेन्स फॉल फर्स्ट, देन मीडियम साइज ग्रेन्स, देन लार्जर ग्रेन्स. क्लियर?
600 kilos per hour.
And there are different shapes, sizes here.
उसको बोलते हैं
Now
sorting.
after drying,
See, sorting हो रहा है.
comes into another shifter where the dust and leaf they get separated.
जैसे जैसे हो जाएगा,
Dust grains
larger
and
perforations
particles are machine sorted into superfine dust, super red
देखो नीचे
dust,
गिर रहे हैं टी
red
लीव्स.
double and
यहाँ पे
peccle.
दिखाई दे रहा है sorting
And
हो रहा है.
leaf grains are machine sorted into peckle fannings, broken peckle, peckle and flowery peckle. Each of these brings a slightly varied strength and flavor to the final cup of tea you and I enjoy. In the final phase of tea processing, each grade is winnowed to allow only the denser particles to be taken into the packaged produce. The lighter particles are used to recondition non-premium tea in future processing cycles. Tea is now finally bulked, which means that the produce under a single grade but from different days is mixed together. This mix is then packaged and ready to be shipped to buyers. And that is the story of how the humble tea leaf transforms into a golden cup of tea. Thank you so much, Atari.
Now if you look at the process, how it differentiates these 6 varieties. If the withering, again the time frame what is mentioned here, it varies from place to place. The way we have conditioned air for withering, leaves को हम जब dry कर रहे हैं, leaves को कैसे dry करते हैं? Leaves are never dried in sun. क्यों नहीं करते हैं sun में? अच्छा करना चाहिए नहीं करना चाहिए sunlight में? Sun में तो जल्दी हो जाएगा ना? Sunlight में तो जल्दी हो जाएगा, isn't it? Why should we not do it in the sunlight? क्यों?
So it takes more
अच्छा
time.
कभी notice किया anything that you cook on a slow flame? Yes, the cooking time increases, but the long cooking, what it does, enhances the flavor molecules. ऐसे ही होता है?
Flavor the red meat.
Flavor और intense हो जाता है, कभी notice किया? Anything that you cook it at high temperature for shorter period of time, उसका flavor वैसे ही रहता है. Clear? That is the reason why they avoid sunlight. Yes, if you are into a place जहाँ पे the sunlight is without heat, clear, the climatic condition is not very warm, you might put it in sun, you might put it in over open area. But mostly it is done in an enclosed area by conditioning the air. Conditioning the air मतलब controlling the temperature of what's your name, sir? Aman. Controlling the temperature of what? पढ़ा जाओ. Controlling the temperature of अपूर्वा. ये आंसर देगा तो मैं नहीं. पीयूष. सर मैं अगर मानस कर रहा हूँ कंडीशनिंग दी टेम्परेचर ऑफ वॉट. कौन बताएगा कंडीशनिंग दी टेम्परेचर ऑफ एयर? हवा. किसका किसका क्योंकि हम किससे ड्राई कर रहे हैं. So withering again, here it is mentioned 48 hours. It totally depends. It depends on the temperature. It depends on which location that you are going to. Okay. So withering, and after withering, if we simply dry it, withering में temperature is brought down. आकाश, ठीक है? दिक्कत तो नहीं, लापत नहीं मारा. ठीक है. Alright. So if we dry it, यानी immediately after withering, we reduce the we increase the temperature and dry the leaves to up to 2%. It will turn into a white. और इसका flavor इतना delicate होता है, if you fall in love with this, you are not going to like any of it. Clear? And these two varieties of leaves largely are available only on demand. Right? So you go pay in advance, they will provide you. You can't store white tea for long duration. Okay. Next one is oolong tea, the most complicated tea to be processed. मतलब जितनी भी चीजें होती है सब इसके साथ किया जाता है. इससे हम लोग semi fermented tea leaves भी होते हैं. No clicking, you will be charged 50,000 rupees per second हिसाब से. Right? The time you took out your cell phone to click the picture and put it back per second के हिसाब से 50,000 rupees. Put it back in the cell phones and pocket. Okay. वो वाइब्रेट करेगा, यहाँ पे ऑन वाइब्रेटिंग फोन के ऊपर बैठा होगा. ठीक है. Along now see वो कौन सी चीजें किया. पहले वाले हमने क्या किया वाइट टी में? Withering and drying, and it results into withering and drying results in white tea. But if we do, अच्छा ये देख लेते हैं, तो green tea देख लेते हैं. Green tea का छोड़. यार withering even green tea में भी होता है, but withering जो green tea में होता है, it is only for a very limited period of time. It is 1/3 the time that we do it for white tea. White tea में जो हम करते हैं, उसका 1/3 टाइम लगता है green tea के. यहाँ पे green tea नहीं है. Green tea के यहाँ पे so there is a withering as well in the green tea. उसके बाद fixing करते हैं. Fixing is drying. Clear? Wherein we impart heat directly almost 220 degree centigrade. बताया था ना? कहाँ से कहाँ तक? 120 degree Fahrenheit to 220 degree Fahrenheit. 50 degree centigrade to 93 degree centigrade. ठीक है. Now this reduces the extensive amount of moisture on the leaves all of a sudden. Then leaves are rolled. इसी वजह से ग्रीन टी कभी भी देखोगे ना लंबे लंबे स्टिक्स में दिखाई देते हैं, CTC कभी नहीं दिखाई देते। तुमने कभी ग्रीन टी के वो देखे दाने देखे ग्रीन टी के? वो ग्रीन टी नहीं होगा, वो स्टिक्स में होता है, ठीक है। ग्रीन टी हमेशा तुम्हारे लंबे लंबे स्टिक्स में आते हैं। गो टू मार्केट, डू रिसर्च टू दैट। जो ग्रीन टी बैग्स तुम्हें मिलते हैं, they crush it the green tea rolled leaves and make it powder. Clear? And drying before packaging, जो drum drying करते हैं ना, to ensure कि there is no moisture left, drying it uniformly. उसमें क्या करते हैं, leaves को डालते हैं, उसको धीरे धीरे roll करते हैं, drum हल्का गर्म हो। So it ensures that every single grain of tea leaf has removed its moisture. ठीक है? You are not packing the tea leaves with the moisture at all. That gives you green tea leaves. Oolong, as I said, the one tea variety which is made with most complex process, withering, bruising. Bruising allows the essential oil to come out, reacts with oxygen. So यहाँ पे partial oxidization भी होता है, fixing, rolling, turn into a small, क्या बोलते हैं? Not balls, sticks. That drying, drum drying, it results in oolong tea variety. The flavor of this tea is in between your Assam and green tea. Very light and very delicate in flavor. Great. Black tea variety. The most of the tea that we consume belongs to this category. Assam is a black, Ceylon is a black, Darjeeling is black, Kenyan tea is a black tea, English breakfast is also a black tea. But if you compare these teas, they have a different flavor profile because the climatic condition they were grown at, the rate of oxidization and duration to which they were oxidized. Clear? So they do withering, rolling, oxidization, drying, and the result is fermentation. The difference between oolong and this, the rate of oxidization is black tea में ज़्यादा है, कम oxidization ज़्यादा होता है. Clear? Then comes your yellow tea. Yellow tea is the leaves after it is brought to factory. Very limited weathering की जाती है, कुछ घंटों की weathering होती है. उसके बाद simply उसको dry किया जाता है, fixing यानी drying. Then they roll it. Now rolling, when they roll the leaves, they ensure the leaves are left with certain amount of moisture. Why? अगर moisture नहीं होगा तो rolls, जब हम लोग roll कर रहे हैं, the leaves will crumble. The leaves will crumble. Now this process results in, क्योंकि हमने oil उसी के अंदर छोड़ दिया, हमने chlorophyll leaves के अंदर ही छोड़ दिया. We did not allow the chlorophyll to escape with the atmosphere. So what will happen? ये chlorophyll when it reacts with oxygen and enzymes, it turns into yellow color. इसी वजह से ये जो लीव्स होते हैं ये येलो, हल्के येलोइश कलर में होते हैं. येलोइश पता कैसे? ये ग्रीनिश येलोइश कलर होते हैं. ठीक है? They are called yellow tea. ये dark tea variety is same as your black tea, but its rate of oxidization is almost 150% times more than your black tea. यानी 1.5 गुना ज़्यादा rate of oxidization होता है. Clear? समझ में आया? Any confusion नहीं आता?
Why not store white? What happened?
Because of the moisture proportion. ठीक है? और उसका जो white tea की जान जो है ना, the soul of white tea is the flavor. क्योंकि ये जो क्योंकि तुमने you have not allowed the flavor to mature for a longer duration. तो they are there for. तुमने कभी notice किया हर वो चीज़ flower जब तक वो तुम पौधे के साथ रखते हो, जैसे जैसे वो बूढ़ा होने लगता है वो अपना flavor खोने लगता है. Notice किया? क्यों? Why it starts losing its flavor? Because the bond, जो flavor का bond है वो किस पे dependent था? Moisture पे. जैसे जैसे moisture उससे गायब हुआ, flavor भी चला. So it was, उसके बाद में वो सब tea है. You will not have the same flavor as it used to, as a white tea.
Yes. Why not more taste or more
Grains का
पार्ट होता है ना, छोटा होता है, मीडियम होता है, लार्ज होता है, उसमें टेस्ट डिफरेंस क्यों आता है? सेम ही तो
The leaf one, the flush one, the sauchang जो मैंने दिखाया था, sauchang pico और इन pico की बात कर रहे हो?
नहीं इसका पेज
Sir, in asking about the grains, those quality grains are very dusty kind. Why the taste is lower than the big size?
बहुत सिंपल सी बात है बेटा, छोटा ग्रेन कुकिंग टाइम कम लगेगा तेरे को, वो ज़्यादा फ्लेवर रिलीज करेगा, ज़्यादा कलर रिलीज करेगा. Now you look at the first tea, that is Assam, but that is Assam CTC. Now look at this one, इधर Assam Orthodox है, दोनों सेम है, सेम वैरायटी है, both are made from camellia Assamica variety. But look at the color, वो CTC है, that is made with cut, tear and curl process. This one is made with orthodox hand rolling, mechanical rolling process है. Now look at the color different है. Rate of oxidation almost same होती है, but the way you cook it. अच्छा इधर देखो, you cook at back home, cooking करते हैं ना. Now you cook vegetables, someone will get. Even I cook, I'm the worst cook on the planet. ठीक है, I still cook, and people survive. ठीक है, इधर देखो, you cook a vegetable preparation with onion together. Everyone, you cook a vegetable preparation or anything with onion side by side. एक साथ कुक कर रहे हैं, तो तुमने let's say vegetable और onion एक साथ मिक्स किया, तुमने डाला और उसको कुक किया. क्लियर? ये बना के सेपरेट रखो. सेम इंग्रेडिएंट यहाँ पे तुम पहले अनियन को एक जगह हल्का सा फ्राई कर लो, उसको अलग निकालो, वेजिटेबल को फ्राई कर लो, अलग निकाल लो, फिर दोनों को एक साथ कंबाइन करके पहले अनियन को सॉफ्ट कर लो, जब वो मेल्ट होने लगे, ऑयल छोड़ने लगे, तब वेजिटेबल डाल के कुक करो. सेम प्रिपरेशन यू विल फाइंड टू डिफरेंट फ्लेवर्स. फ्लेवर सेम होगा, अलग अलग होगा. The flavor profile, how do you blend it? What duration to which you allow the flavor profile to macerate with each other and create a bond? ये सारी चीजें ना creates a unique flavor profile. बहुत सारे enzymatic, बहुत सारे complex chemical reactions होते हैं, उसके ऊपर में ये अलग अलग flavor profile create. Clear? Clear? Any confusion यहाँ तक? Good. So I've cut short these processes of making. These are the some of the tea. As far as the production of tea leaves are concerned, China is amongst one of the country which is producing the maximum produce for the entire world, followed by India, Kenya, Sri Lanka, especially the Ceylon from the Sri Lankan region, are known for producing the greatest yield of tea leaves for entire world's consumption. India की बात करें तो India is known for producing varieties of tea like Assam, Darjeeling, Nilgiris, ठीक है, जो साउथ से आते हैं, जो मैंने तुम्हें बताया था. Amongst these tea varieties which are produced in India, Darjeeling is known as champagne of tea because of its delicacy. क्या बोलते हैं उसको? क्या बोलते हैं? Champagne of tea. क्यों बोलते हैं? Because of its delicacies. These are some of the variety, and we are at the verge of concluding the session. But before we conclude, I would make you people, first years I would want to come have a look into these tea which has been brewed and the tea grains, how do they look. Line wise आप आएंगे without touching anything, have a look, then go back to your place, then the next line comes. Meanwhile, I'll brew these tea varieties for you to taste. Yeah, please. Yes, I will open the house for questions if you have in case. Can we be quiet, please? Thank you. Initial tea leaves consumptions were not as complex as we have it today. शुरू में जो टी लीव्स यूज करते थे मोस्टली यूज फ्रेश इवन जो हिस्ट्री में रिकॉर्डेड हिस्ट्री करके दे यूज्ड टू हैव टी लीव्स इन एज देयर फूड यूज्ड टू मिक्स इट विद फ्रेश फ्रूट्स और चीज़ सब ये तो करीब में ये लास्ट के 2600-2700 साल पहले तक उसको एज अ फूड थे यूज How do you think the people learn to cook the ingredients before they consume it? With the time they realize? Okay. No. We humans have always been curious in experimenting with food. अगर इस चीज़ को ऐसे करके बनाया तो कैसा लगेगा? That is why we've got so many styles of cooking fish, so many styles of cooking chicken. We've been always very experimental about the ingredients that we cook and the way we cook, with what we cook. Okay. Any other questions? Any questions related to this? The tea leaves, most of them. Winning is international. Typhoon is international. Tamil is international. Brookborn is international. They are Indian brands, but Typhoon, yes. There are winnings. Most of the good products would never use these sachets. They use fresh leaves. They make their own tiny programs. Muslim make fresh tea leaves they buy. There has to be a difference in the tea overall hotel serves and what our roadside vendors sells. So that's why they buy their exclusive variety of tea leaves. They make their own tea bags. Muslim I can understand you are getting impatient और अच्छा नहीं लगेगा फर्स्ट ईयर का सामने बेइज्जती करना सर सुनो सर थैंक यू
बाद में काट दूंगा कंटिन्यू करेंगे बंद कर दूँ
पानी बहुत मैं यहाँ पे We are starting with the results. As far as the tea, अभी तक हमने बात किया tea. So far we've been discussing how the tea is made, what the tea is, how it is produced. But the question is how the tea is made. It is equally important. Yeah? Especially in India where we believe you put the tea in water and let it scream. Until unless our own whims and fantasies wakes us up, लो अब तो हो गया होगा छान लो तब तक हम लोग चाय को छोड़ देते हैं हमारे साथ This is how we make, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
डाल दिया आग बंद करके और पक ही जाएगा, पकने दो अभी, पका नहीं. Yes? ऐसे ही बना देना वो.
Yes, sir.
But this is not the way that tea is to be made. First, the selection of water is very important. The tea is so delicate, it can easily react with the minerals in water. So when we are selecting the type of water that we should use in making tea, we should be very conscious. That's why we are using only mineral water here. Mineral water, when we say this, नाम का mineral water होता है, इसके अंदर में mineral content regulated होता है, right? Minerals को reduce कर दिया जाता है osmosis process के थ्रू, ठीक है? Reverse osmosis के process के थ्रू minerals को reduce कर दिया जाता है, the balanced minerals of it. Right? Otherwise, the tap water will have more minerals than these minerals. Right? But it will give you a totally same tea variety if I use it in the borewell water, and if I do it with mineral water, you will see health difference between them. Clear? So it is very important that we select the variety of water which is neutral in nature, does not affect the flavor of the tea. Clear? दूसरा, we boil the water, यानी boiling मतलब कहाँ तक ले जाना टेम्परेचर को, and then we put it off, उसको बंद कर देना है. Add tea leaves, leave it for 4 minutes. Again, it depends on what tea leaves that we are using. If we are using black tea leaves, we are supposed to leave it for at least 3 to 4 minutes to macerate. कितना? 4 minutes. अगर आप फ्लेवर टीज यूज कर रहे हो, लाइट टीज यूज कर रहे हो, ग्रीन टी यूज कर रहे हो, तो उसके इसमें 2.5 to 3 मिनट, ठीक है? सिमिलरली ऑल ग्रे यूज कर रहे हो, इट्स अ गुड क्वालिटी ऑल ग्रे, शुड नॉट ब्रू मोर देन 2.5 मिनट, ठीक, वो ज़्यादा बेटर हो जाएगा. तो कितने देर ब्रू करना है, और ब्रू करने के टाइम पे वी ब्रिंग द टेम्परेचर डाउन टू सिमरिंग पॉइंट, यानी 90 डिग्री के नीचे होना चाहिए. क्लियर? वो तभी होगा अगर हम उसको पुट इट ऑफ कर दें. ठीक है? दूसरी चीज, टेक्निकली टी इज नॉट टू बी मेड विद मिल्क. एनी आइडिया व्हाई? उल्टा है. वी मेक इट विद, वी ओनली मेक इट विद, हम सिर्फ मिल्क से ही बनाते हैं. क्यों नहीं बनाना चाहिए मिल्क के साथ? कभी नोटिस किया तुमने, इफ यू मेक टी इन वाटर यू रिक्वायर वेरी लिटिल अमाउंट ऑफ टी लीव्स, बहुत थोड़े ही अमाउंट में टी लीव्स चाहिए. नोटिस किया कभी? और अगर आप मिल्क डालते हैं, मिल्क क्या करता है? मिल्क हैज फैट, और फैट क्या करता है? जो टी मॉलिक्यूल्स है उसके चारों तरफ में एक कोटिंग क्रिएट कर देता है, केसिंग क्रिएट कर देता है, एंड इट डज नॉट अलाउ द टी लीव्स टू रिलीज इट्स फ्लेवर, रिलीज इट्स कलर. इसकी वजह से हमें ज़्यादा टी लीव करना होगा. और ज़्यादा टी लीव मतलब तभी चाय में कलर है, नहीं तो हमारे लिए चाय बनी ही नहीं. Right? Or excess of anything is not for our health. Excessive tanning. Most of the diseases in India were because of the excessive consumption of tea. हम ऐसा नहीं कि चाय ज़्यादा पिए, हम improper टी पिए. चाय के अंदर में मिल्क का जो कॉन्सेप्ट है ना, ये ब्रिटिशर्स ने शुरू किया था, चाय में मिल्क मिला. क्लियर? वो डालते थे बिकॉज they wanted to mask the tannin in the tea. टी के अंदर में जो tannin होता है, which gives you gum drying sensation, उसको मास्क करने के लिए they used to add milk, और बहुत थोड़ा डालते थे. क्लियर? बट हमने उसको और इम्प्रोवाइज किया. I need people to come and help me with. So whenever you are making tea, ideally सबसे पहले we have to heat the pot या condition the pot. So condition करने के लिए pot को क्या करते हैं, उसमें गर्म पानी डालना है. गर्म पानी डाल के उसको पहले heat it up. एक तरह से first it acts as a sanitizer. दूसरा वो pot को अंदर से condition कर देता है, heat कर देता है. Otherwise ठंडे pot के अंदर में अगर गर्म पानी डालोगे, it will start losing its temperature. और temperature lose करने की वजह से क्या होगा? चाय का जो flavor है वो वैसा नहीं आएगा. I need second just come up. Help me with arguing. The tea I'm starting with is, you taste and tell me one variety. We might come to front, एक दो आइए आप लोग देखिए यहाँ पे Keep one after another row, please. Come have a look.